I think that Drake Maye is going in the top 5. The Vikings pick 11th. To me, he is not a trade-up quarterback. This is not so like if you're trading up for Drake Maye, it probably means that you're passing on like a Jaden Daniels. Maye scares me as a trade-up option. I think that you take him with your pick, and maybe you're happy with that. I would not trade up for Drake Maye. So my hey, what do you say? Draft Drake Maye. Actually, I'm not that positive. Someone tell me I'm wrong or right. Luke Inman.
Well, I just think even though everyone's already writing Caleb in at number 1 in Sharpie, that there will be at some point. It's a long draft process. We do this every year, 3-4 months. You basically see about every possible scenario by the time we get to draft, right? Between mock drafts, the big boards, the combine shakes things up, Senior Bowl shakes things up. So even though all the tape's done, it still ends up being a very fluid situation. At some point, there will be conversations about Drake Maye going ahead of Caleb at number 1 because
it happened in November, man. I saw a bunch of people say, "Hey, actually, people should get Drake Maye instead of Caleb."
Why does Sam want to? Why do you want to pass on him then? What's going on?
Yeah, this random Twitter user said that Drake Maye should go number 1, and you don't even want to trade up for this guy.
Well, and here's why, though, too, because it's kind of similar, and I'm not comparing him to Anthony Richardson, but the hype he got at the Combine. Drake Maye's going to show up to the Combine, 6'4", 225, big frame, powerful runner, can create with his legs, got a lot of arm talent, all that, great field vision, things like that. He's going to show up to the Combine. He's going to be bigger by a mile by everybody else. Caleb Williams, 6'1", 200. Jaden Daniels is a toothpick. Michael Penix may be the biggest guy, but I still think, again, Drake Maye is going to impress and stick out to a lot of people. And at that point, and maybe this has already happened, people are going to start flinging out names like Josh Allen, Herbert, which I know has happened, Big Ben Roethlisberger, things like that. And once he starts getting comped to guys like that, and he shows up to the Combine as the biggest and strongest guy of that group of the top 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks combined with the tape, I think the gap is going to start to be closed a little bit between him and Caleb. And he's not perfect. You're right, Sam. He's not perfect, kind of sloppy technically. There's a lot I think you still have to project to his game at the NFL. But I think, like we hear every single draft season, the cliches of he's got all the tools, he checks all the boxes that scouts, GMs, coaches, the media love to cling on to. I think you're going to see a similar Anthony Richardson type of hype start to get conjured up in Indy. So I'm not saying he's going to have the same type of combine numbers, but he's going to stand out physically when he stands next to Caleb, who, again, 6'1", Jaden Daniels. He's got the size frame of, a Sam Ekstrom out there, more or less. I think between that and the tape.
Compliment to Jaden, really.
Right. I think between that and the tape. Well, check Sam Ekstrom's combine footage out, actually, if you want to see the real
Still lives on
YouTube.
YouTube.
I think he ends up, there's conversation, he ends up, could be the number 1 pick. I think at worst, though, he ends up going top 2.
Wow. So here's my concern. It's that you look at what his profile is, and it is very much Josh Allen. And it's so easy to point to Josh Allen and say, well, look at him. Took him a couple of years, but look at him now. And projecting or comparing is so dangerous because Drake Maye is really inaccurate, and he gets more inaccurate with volume. Right? Like he's got games this year where he's 24 of 48, 16 of 36.
God, that rules.
Padded a lot of his stats against non-conference teams, like had 4 touchdowns against something called Campbell. But he does have tools.
Those tools? Let's go.
The Dan Campbells. Is that going to improve on the same trajectory that Josh Allen improved? There's no guaranteeing that at all. That's why I'm nervous to assume that because another big-bodied quarterback who can move a little bit did it, that Drake Maye will do it as well.
So I have a question. I haven't watched any Drake Maye, so I kind of have to sit this one out. Probably he's coming up next because I'm still working on Jaden Daniels stuff. But is he going to look misleadingly well in shorts? Because that feels like the combine thing you guys are talking about. Is this going to be one of those things where when there's no pressure, he's going to go like throw a bunch of dimes and Zach Wilson this?
Go ahead, Aretha.
Okay, so I think that you're all way overselling how raw Drake Maye is. I don't think he's that raw. I think there is some inaccuracy. I think that inaccuracy is concerning because it stems from mechanical issues, but the issues are primarily lower body mechanics. I've said before that those concern me a lot less than upper body mechanic issues, just because those tend to be, this is not, permanent. Those tend to be a bit more fixable. It also kind of separates him from Josh Allen. But he was like way more accurate at North Carolina than Josh Allen was at Wyoming. I don't like that comparison at all. He also isn't nearly as athletic. He's got a very strong arm, but it's not nearly the arm strength of Allen. I don't think that he's a huge upside prospect. I don't think that his upside is like seductive in the way that Anthony Richardson or Josh Allen are. I think it's very impressive. And I think that he does a very good job getting through his progressions. I think that he does do a very good job reading defenses. He's just he just loves risk, right? He's a risk reward guy. I don't think he makes the wrong decision because he's reading the defense incorrectly. I think he makes the wrong decision because he thinks he rules, which is hard to fault, honestly.
Very Josh Allen.
like
right.
yeah, right, yeah. But it's not that he's like, oh man, you shouldn't have thrown to that guy. The rotation was like this. He's double covered. The safety is lurking. You didn't see him. It's like, you shouldn't have thrown to that guy because that window closed half a second before you thought it would, or something along those lines. It's not, I don't think it's a misreading defenses thing. And his accuracy is not like wonderful, but it's not like catastrophic or anything. I like him a lot. The one thing, Sam, is I think phrases like, if you have a top 5 pick and he falls to you, draft him, but I wouldn't trade up into the top 5. I think that's nonsense. Those are the same thing. They're the same thing. They cost the same amount of dollars. Like that's
well, they
all
don't.
it means.
Trading up costs way more.
And trading down is an opportunity cost that costs the exact same. It's the same thing, Sam. You are giving up the exact same number of draft picks by picking them where you are, because you're not trading down. It's an opportunity cost.
So, okay, so let's play this out, and this won't happen. If you have a top 10 grade on Drake Maye, but not top 3.
Is my board positionally adjusted?
So yes. So you have evaluated and determined that Drake Maye is a top 10 quarterback, or a top 10 player. I mean, he's not a top 3. So that is a bad value proposition to give up assets to move up for him. However, if he were to fall to 11, suddenly it becomes a good value proposition. Now, at the quarterback spot, it's risky to make your decisions based on sort of the value bet aspect of it. But that is what I'm getting at.
I think I get what you're saying, in that trading up, like if trading up is inefficient, then those costs might actually be bigger. Like it might be worth more assets for the team at 11 to trade up and pick Maye than the team that's just already up there, because trading up is inefficient because of like the market of draft capital. It just costs more, especially if you're trading up for a quarterback. Like, is that the point that you're trying to make, that he's maybe worth it if you already have the pick, but he's not worth like swimming upstream, as it were?
I'll add that the analytics that tell us that trading up is bad make a specific carve out for quarterbacks that they don't tend to apply to quarterbacks. And then even though there's an extra cost to trading up for a quarterback historically, that they tend to figure that that's actually worth it. So I'll add that it's not the same as trading.
And in the same vein, probably not worth it to take a quarterback at 11 just because there's value if you don't think it's a good quarterback or a good enough quarterback.
Right.
But
yeah.
You gotta take the exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, but yeah, to bring it back to a discussion about like Drake Maye specifically, not about trading up, because I think the existence of Jaden Daniels complicates this discussion a decent amount, because like, why would you trade for Drake Maye when you can get Jaden Daniels, right? I think that he's a very good quarterback prospect. And in fact, I very much sympathize with the people that like him more than Caleb Williams. And I think though people overplay the mental makeup stuff about Caleb Williams to the point that I'm like very concerned, and I think it's kind of, I don't want to say the word disgusting, that's too strong, but it's distasteful the way that they talk about Caleb Williams, and some of the stuff that he does I don't think is a red flag at all. I do think that he is not quite mentally prepared to play quarterback in the NFL at the moment. And I do think Drake Maye probably is. You can't tell, I can't know. But based off of the things that I am aware of, which is a very limited perspective, I think that is a differentiating factor in favor of Drake Maye without trying to impugn Caleb Williams or the fact that like he's emotionally available to his mom or whatever people are complaining
Paints his
about.
nails.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care about that. Yeah, but like, yeah, that's what people are talking about. But I do think that there is something about like Drake Maye's, especially like the mental fortitude late in games when it's close, right? That I think is something that, you know, as an analytics person, I don't love digging in on and talking about or focusing too much on, but I do think is a differentiating factor.